So with Bryan Kohberger's alibi, some people have got it a little bit misconstrued when it comes to the information that's been given out by the defence. I want to make it clear here, the defence don't have any pictures from the night in question when the murders have occurred. What the defence are simply stating by mentioning these photos on Bryan Kohberger's phone is they're trying to show a pattern in behaviour with their client. A lot of people early on said it's really weird that this individual goes out on late night drives, and people asked why would an individual go out on late night drives so often, and the defence here are basically trying to show individuals that it's not unusual for their client, Bryan Kohberger, to basically go out, stargaze, take pictures of the moon, take pictures of the stars, go on late night runs, go on late night hikes. So the photos in question were not taken on the night when the murders occurred. The photos were taken previously, and the defence is simply showing a pattern in behaviour with their client to say that no, it's not that weird that our client Bryan Kohberger goes out for X, Y, and Z. Also with Bryan Kohberger's alibi, they're kind of claiming that Bryan Kohberger couldn't have possibly been there because he was at Wawa County Park at 2:47 AM. The murders happen at around 4 AM. I'm sure he has enough time to get to the location from the area that they're claiming that he was. Secondly, Bryan Kohberger turned his phone off, and I'd love to see how the expert's going to prove that he knows where Bryan Kohberger's location was when the FBI, who had forensic data on Bryan Kohberger's phone, were unable to see where it was that Bryan was. Because of the fact in where Bryan Kohberger claims to be, the reception in itself is really bad due to the fact that there's hills and so on in the area, and to them it seems like they believe that Bryan Kohberger turned his phone off around 2:47 AM, and then he turns it back on after some time around 4:40 AM. The thing is though, Bryan Kohberger claimed to be looking at the moon and stars at Wawa County Park at roughly about 2:45 AM in the morning. But the individual's phone then goes off and then turns on in a location where they believe the individual himself sped off from the crime scene after murdering 4 University of Idaho students inside of it. Bryan Kohberger claims that he likes to go on late night drives, hikes, so on and forth. Let's not forget though, Bryan Kohberger stopped doing this after the night of November the 13th. In fact, he stopped it completely. His so-called stargazing habit went out the window. Not only that, but on the morning of the murders, they believe from cell phone location that Bryan Kohberger's cell phone returns somewhere near the scene of the crime around about 9 AM. Now, Bryan Kohberger has claimed that he was at Wawa County Park because he was stargazing, hiking, or whatever he wants to claim. The thing is though, is that Bryan Kohberger suspiciously arrives near the crime scene at around about 9 AM on the morning of the murders. What's your fucking alibi for that one, Bryan? You can't be staring at the moon at 9 AM in the morning, so what's he doing this time? Sungazing? He's gone from looking at the moon and stars to staring directly at the sun around about the area in which the crime scene took place. Just roughly 4 hours after his cell phone location has seen him driving from that house to a location in which Bryan Kohberger goes missing for over 3 hours, only to then return back to the scene of the crime. And we now know from the PCA that Bryan Kohberger left a sheath, and there's potential there that he either went back to relive the crime, to see if the authorities were already involved, or potentially to see if he could have retrieved the sheath that he'd left behind. But I'd love to see what he's going to say, suggesting the morning of when he's supposed to have arrived near the crime scene.